Good afternoon. This session is session, oh my God, they didn't put it on the screen. It's session 3.0. Please remember that when it comes to doing the feedback. I will put a link for the feedback in the chat. You can also use the QR code on the screen, or you can use your bring your own agenda link to access and give feedback. We absolutely require feedback so that we can make the next sessions, the next conferences more what you want to see. So please let me know. Because you're all on mute, I would appreciate it if you have any questions, if you put them in the meeting chat, Matthias or Matt will see those and answer them if it's appropriate at that time, or we'll save them to the end and have a Q&A session then. Okay. I'm going to hand you over now to Matthias, who's going to start off. Over to you.
All right, thanks. Hello, everybody, welcome. This session is the Centralize Alerts, Improve Observability, and Minimize Mean Time to Resolve. My name is Matheus Milani. I work as a product manager for the AIOps solution at Broadcom. I'm based in Brazil, but today I'm in Prague. And I'm here with Matt. Matt is our product owner. I'll let him introduce himself when he gets to his part of the presentation as well. But I hope you enjoy the session. Don't hesitate to ask questions. We will be monitoring the chat. That's it. Let's get started. Okay, so just our regular disclaimer. Okay, so we want to start our conversation just highlighting about the persona and the challenge that we are addressing right now. So mainly we are talking about the level 1 operator. So as you can see, we have Ashton on screen. Ashton works as a system operator or level 1 operator, and his main responsibility is to monitor alerts and identify problems on the environment. But we know that Ashton, as a level 1 operator, he has a very hard task, which is not only to monitor those alerts, but also execute different activities and actions around problems that are appearing on the environment. So when we talk to Ashton, we understand that he is responsible to monitor alerts from a centralized screen or not. It really depends on the customer that he is working on. And when an alert pops on the screen, he needs to take different actions. Some example, Ashton needs to access the procedures, the runbooks, identify what needs to be done, execute commands, analyze those commands, provide some initial troubleshooting, identify if we needed to create an incident in ITSM tool, ServiceNow, for example, in order to engage a level 2 person and do the escalation depending on the severity. That escalation can be using instant messaging products, can be using pagers, phone calls. It really depends at what time it is, can be in the middle of the night. So Ashton needs to handle all of these for all the alerts. And if it wasn't enough, problems, they don't happen one at a time. So sometimes we have multiple alerts coming to the monitoring screen all at the same time. Of course, Ashton is not by himself. Probably he has some other operators working with him. But the challenge piece is how can we balance the workload between operators? How do we act on most critical problems? How we do all this troubleshooting? And we needed to do this really quick because the main reason we have an operator is to identify problems and really engage the right people to make sure that we can fix those problems as soon as possible, reducing the mean time to resolve and restore any problem that is happening on the environment. And one of the big challenges that we have, it is when you need to execute all those activities, most of the times, all those different tools that Ashton needs to interact with is not on the same place. So documentation is kept in someplace else, you monitor using a tool, then you need 30 to 70 scripts to issue commands, then you go to ServiceNow to open instance and go to Slack to send the messages. So everything in different places, so different user IDs to log on, different platforms that he needs to access, different passwords that he needed to keep. So that's the main challenge that we have right now, and that's exactly what we are addressing with the presentation that we are doing today. Now, every time that we talk about alerts, we are talking about alert management. And when we look into alert management, it's usually a process that the customer already has. So we are not talking about creating something new and asking the customer to completely change the way that they are monitoring the environment. We are talking about how can we introduce a process with some tools that will be inserted into the process that you already have. So how can we help you to improve your alert management capabilities using the solution that we want to show you. And when we talk about alert management process, it's really a journey. So some of the topics that we are going to discuss today, they are ready. Some other features and ideas, they are on our roadmap, but we like to look into an alert management process as a journey. So we want to see how you can give the right steps towards a very mature alert management process on your environment. Starting with centralized visualization, where you can get alerts, you can integrate with ITSM tools, get quick access to documentation, to procedures, access to logs to initiate some troubleshooting. And then, which is the main theme of this presentation, which is contextual insights. Contextual insights, they are based on data gathering that we are doing across different other products. And that data, we brought the data in as insights so we can correlate the alert with some metrics and some information that would be important for you to start troubleshooting the problem. So we are talking about topology information, dashboard, metrics, clustering alerts, and etc. And then when we are mature at this point, we also want to start looking on how we can recover the environment. So we understand that part of the journey is really fixing the problem. So in proactive monitor new stuff. So we are talking about best practice from monitoring perspective, continuous improvement, leveraging automation, and all of that. So that's how we want to see an alert management process and journey happening in the customer environment. And in order to accomplish all of this, Broadcom has released this new alert management capability that we call Alert Central. Alert Central, it's more modern, it's intuitive, and it goes beyond consolidating alerts in one single screen. What we are going to discuss today, it is how we can use data and gather data around with other products, bringing that data in, and make sure that you can use that information to troubleshoot, to initiate troubleshooting into problems. how you can give more information when you're handing over the problem to a level 2. And eventually, we want to reduce the mean time to resolve or mitigate any problem that is happening on the environment. So Alert Central integrates with different Broadcom products already. We can get alerts from Ops, MVS, NetMaster, Sysview. We're going to talk more about it. But besides all these out-of-the-box integrations, we have APIs, alert APIs. And those alert APIs will allow you to send alerts in from any product, regardless if that product is Broadcom or not. And we are also using the same APIs to make sure that we can get information around other products and bringing them in as part of the troubleshooting process. So that's what we are going to talk today. That's the challenge and how we are addressing them. Let's just jump into what we were talking about, the data gathering. So I want to repeat that because that's really important. So consolidating alerts, we know it's key, but there are plenty of products that are able to do that. What we are doing here, we are leveraging mainframe expertise to know exactly what kind of data needs to be gathered and associated and related with one alert to help you to troubleshoot your problem and go towards the resolution. So that's pretty much the objective that we talked about. And before we go to a demo where Matt will guide you through all the capabilities, we want to tell a short story so we can give you some visualization about what you're going to see, how you can apply that concept into a real life journey on the environment. So for this short story, we are going to use Ashton again. And Ashton starts his day working on the Acme Corporation, and he's working on the night shift, for example. So Ashton will use Alert Central to monitor all the incoming work from different ZOS systems and different sysplexes on his environment. And Ashton looks into the monitoring screen at some point and see that there is one specific critical alert that he wants to investigate. So he clicks on that alert, and it will take him to what we are calling the alert details page. And inside of the alert details page, that's where we are going to enrich that place with data coming from different other products. So we are talking about getting information about the alert, like what is the resource that is alerting, what is the system, what is the message ID, severity, and all of that. Plus, we want to make sure that you can correlate or relate that alert with something else that is happening on the environment. So for example, can I look into the past and get some historical information just to check if the same problem happened in the past? And if it did, how many times it happened in the last 7 days, 30 days, or etc. Also, can I also relate if that specific alert is an isolated problem, or if I have the same alert happening with other resources, or if the alerted resource has other alerts happening on the environment that goes beyond the one that I'm looking right now. Also, access to QuickRef. QuickRef is like a dictionary. It may not have all the answers on how to solve the problem, but gives you a good indication where the problem is and who should be engaged. So that's another important information. Topology. How can you analyze the impact of a problem without knowing what other resources are connected with that particular alerted resource? So if you're getting a message about Kix region, how is that connected with another Kix region or DB2 or MEQ or IMS? So different ways that you can show that. Machine learning metrics. How can you see if there any deviation on the normal behavior of the environment? Performance metrics showing how is the consumption of some specific resource on the environment that might be a contributing factor to the problem that is happening. Access to logs. So for example, Ops MVS has its own log called Ops log. How can you use that log to search for messages that happen before the alert and maybe try to find some indication about what happened with that specific problem? For example, if I have a job abandoned, what happened before? Can I see some messages on the log that is indicating what happened? Access to runbooks and procedures. So besides looking into quick ref and trying to understand what the message is, customers, they have specific procedures for each of the alerts that they have on the environment. So here would be having access to their procedures very quickly. And for last, how do you engage a level 2 person to work on a problem? Probably using incidents. So here we are using again ServiceNow as an example. It could be others, but let's think about ServiceNow. So you create an incident, that incident will trigger a notification. The level 2 person will be engaged and start working on the problem. So that's all part of the incident management process. So as you can see, we are going beyond just monitoring and alerting, calling somebody else. So we are trying to give Ashton as much as information as we can in order to enrich the way that you pass this information to a level 2 person. And if we continue into the journey, so there are pieces, depending on the problem that is happening on the environment, you may need some different information. Like in this story here, Ashton is looking into topology, and this alert has a resource that is alerting. So he wants to check what are the other started tasks or regions that are connected with that alerted resource on the environment. And then he also wants to take a look into the log and see if any alert happened before that problem that could give some kind of indication on what happened with that problem. And when Ashton continues to drill down into this investigation, he can see that there are some other performance metrics that are related to this alert. And as part of these performance metrics, there's some indication that something is going on in this example here, something that is taking up a lot of memory on the environment. And it gives a good indication that, oh, so maybe I needed to talk to Sheila because she's the level 2 responsible for that. And she would be the one with the right knowledge to diagnose this problem and come up with a solution. So Sheila says that she will take a look on that. She gets into the right tools. In this example, she looks into C's view and then runs some actions to fix the problem. She might look all the information from Alert Central widget, or if she needs to really drill down into the investigation, she can jump into other products on their specific UIs to analyze and fix the problem. All of the actions that Sheila is taking, she's gonna update the incident management, the incident ticket, add notes, add information. So now Ashton knows that she's working on that, or the problem is resolved and the incident can be closed. So here it's just a short story to show in real life how we could go from an alert that is being received on the environment, how the operator can gather a lot of information, receive some indication on who should be engaged, get the level 2 person, and that person will be responsible to diagnose and to fix the problem on the environment. So now, with that said, let me hand over to Matt, and Matt will give you a demo on Alert Central.
Matthias, thank you very much. So as Matthias said, my name is Matt McLaughlin. I'm based in our Prague office. I work as the product owner, which means I'm embedded with the development team. And I work with I'm fortunate to work with some very intelligent people indeed. Matthias has done a great job of setting the scene and giving the directional statement statements that we're building our products to. This is the result of conversations with some of you on the call, some of your colleagues and peers, and some other companies as well, bringing back the business problems so that we can understand them and address them in the most succinct ways. What I'd like to show you is a kind of a snapshot of where we're at right now. Now, what I would say is that we are on the cusp of a release. It's 1.3.0 release is due out in about 3 weeks from now. And that's a large part of what we were talking about when we first did this presentation in the UK in November. So a lot of what we were talking about then, you're actually going to see live for the first time. So I hope you can see my screen. Right, so what we're looking at now is a login screen. I'm putting in my mainframe credentials because this is authenticated through the Zoe API ML, the API mediation layer. What it means is that the username and password go, if I get them correct, go to the ESM that's running at the back end. Now, the great challenge is, of course, because we're so close to release, some of the integrations are taken down at the moment because we need them to be as we're developing. So I'm only going to be able to show you some of the functionality we have on offer, but I'm happy to talk to the rest. So when an administrator logs into Alert Central, they have visibility of all of the alerts. It's overwhelming, but it's there as a functionality because administrators need to be able to see everything because they need to perform configuration. I say that as a caveat because when a user logs in, normally they would see a much smaller list of alerts as they'll be closing alerts as they go. It's part of the operator's role. And certainly they'll be filtering to show only the relevant information. Now, one thing I'll change straight away, that's better. It's a bit bright otherwise. I'll shrink this down, give myself some more space to work. So again, from the operator persona, they would typically have this view filtered down to just the most important things that they need to see. So for example, filtering down by severity. Equally, it could be filtered down by system, by specific message text, whatever it is you'd like to look for. We obviously implemented we're building the user experience around modern web technologies. So everything that you see here should be pretty much as you'd expect to see in a modern web application. For example, we can search by column, or we can use a global search, which includes searching through notes that have been added to alerts, which I've obviously conveniently added for the purposes of this demonstration. The columns that we're looking at here best express the work that needs to be done, or the information to support the work that needs to be done by a typical operator. Your mileage may vary, and of course this is something that is customized on a per user basis and on a system-wide basis depending on the types of information you need to see. We have a very extensible alert schema that supports information from the mainframe and hypothetically from non-mainframe systems as well if you need that. And there's also an unlimited capacity for adding custom values to alerts. So you may have something that is relevant to your organization, for example, location information, contact information that can be supplied with an alert as it's sent in from one of several means that I'll go through in a little while. So just taking a look at one of these alerts. When we talk about the integrations, we're really talking about alert insights primarily. And using this as an example, when this alert came through, when it was received by Alert Central, it was recognized as an MQ alert, and that connected the alert with an alert profile. And the alert profile is a definition of what information is the operator going to need when they look at the alert to try and get down to the root cause, or potentially hand the issue off to an L2 or an L3 engineer. So because this was recognized as an MQ alert and we have configured our panel to show the MQ list command, it means that a snapshot of that relevant mainframe data was taken at the time of the alert. So this now belongs as data with the alert and can be used historically as well. This is one of the ways in which we look at reducing the length and complexity of the workflow of an operator by taking them directly to the data points that they need. Matthias spoke about topology. I can't show that integration at the moment. It has been taken down, and the same with log history. What I can say is that when you go to the topology tab and the integration is in place, what you will see is a landing point within the topology diagram of your mainframe estate, centered around the alerting item. Here, of course, you see an error message. Under the log history tab, we have a choice. We have opper log or opslog. Opslog, of course, comes with OpsMVS. Opolog comes with sysview, and they both show very similar system log information, both of which are tremendously valuable for engineers who are trying to diagnose a fault or find additional information. Also, we now have a console interaction capability. Now, this again leverages APIs that are part of sysview to securely connect my specific user ID, me as a user, to the sysview interface to enter commands and to gather responses. This sends the request through API and it shows the response command invalid, which is correct. This is an invalid command. All of this information is, of course, stored in the history of the alert for audit purposes in the future. Looking at the alert details over here on the right-hand side, I said that we have a particularly extensible alert schema. It's absolutely true. Here's an example of the information that we're collecting. I shan't iterate through it, but the key point is that with that and the custom attributes that we can add, you have lots of capacity to tailor the experience to really your operator's discrete needs. Going back to the alerts view, Mateus spoke about the QuickRef integration. When that is enabled, you can simply click here to view QuickRef, and what that'll do is look up the message ID in QuickRef. A panel will slide over with that QuickRef entry. So again, your L1 operator gets all of the information that they need in a very straightforward, short workflow without having to switch contexts, without having to switch systems to get the information that they need. I'll go into settings very briefly just to give a bit of a taste. I spoke about alert profiles. This is a list of alert profiles that we have built out. Several of these come out of the box and provide inspiration for people to build their own panel arrangements, their own dashboards, and also connect with very well-known types of alerts. However, depending on your environment, you can configure panels exactly as per your own requirements. This isn't a particularly good example. I'll go back. As per your own requirements, including adding panels with commands that you're going to find particularly valuable. Select the type of log that you wish to use. We'll use opslog in this case. Select the information that you want to have shown. We're going to run with C tasks, for example. We'll show that information as a table. And after giving the panel an appropriate name, you would simply save this or add it as a chart, save it to the dashboard, and push that change out as an operator to really all of the operators that, as an administrator, to all of the operators that you have using Alert Central. So that becomes another resource that is sort of transparently available to operators. When they see an alert, when they go into the details of an alert, they then have that snapshot of data immediately available. I'll stop the demo here because I don't want to risk it any further given the stage of development that we're at. And I'll hand back over to Mateus for the presentation. Thanks, Mateus. So that's what it looks like from a user standpoint, from an administrator standpoint. So let's talk briefly about how it works. So what we're looking at now is a very simplified view of the current architecture of Alert Central. The solid blue blocks represent the Alert Central components. Looking at the bottom row, you can see the Alert Central core, which runs on Linux x86. We're also looking at implementing on Z-Linux over the next 6 months. So stay tuned if that's one of the items that interests you. And this represents the code that drives the Alert Central API endpoints and the web UI and the database that powers it. Now, of course, that can be split out across multiple nodes for failover. And to the right, there is NIMSM, which is another Broadcom component, and it's an integration proxy that allows us to interface with multiple service desk products, like, for example, ServiceNow. Moving up from there, the Zoe API mediation layer. It's a key component of Alert Central, and it's an ever-growing number of integrations across the Broadcom portfolio. And integrations with other products also. It allows alerts to be created on any platform that can call the RESTful API, and it drives our integrations with OpsMVS, with sysview, with MOI, with Automation Point, with mainframe topology, with Netmaster. From an alerting standpoint, and when enriching those alert details with those contextual insights that are pulled from those products. Critically, API ML helps us integrate across the mainframe estate. whilst still prioritizing security, scalability, and performance. And on the left-hand side, we have the ACC Alert Central connector for ZEOS. It's a very lightweight ZEOS started task, and that allows Alert Central to receive alerts really at mainframe speeds without adding unduly to the mainframe resource consumption. So a key mainframe functionality recently delivered that works alongside ACC is a very efficient utility called CAAC Send. And I'm just calling it out now because I think it's particularly neat. It's a Swiss Army knife for enabling existing mainframe tools to send alerts to Alert Central. It supports TSO, Batch, IBM, and OpsMVS Rex and OpsMVS rules. And it's easy enough for proof of concept and robust enough for production. So if you have mainframe applications, if you have operating tools that you want to send alerts from, you're not sure how to, there's several ways, and this is one of them. So how do I get it? If you have a sufficient level of interest, you talk to us. Right now, Alert Central is included in your license for OpsMVS since release 14.0, and very recently was introduced with SysView 17.0 as well. So it means that if you're watching this session, you very likely have the required entitlements already. The installation is lightweight, and we will be delighted to help you get started and support you through the process. All you need to do is reach out. So, brief recap of where we're at today. We've got Alert Central that builds on top of the Zoe API ML to provide a highly secure, highly performant, web-based interface authenticated against your mainframe ESM, and it's an interface to alert management and additional contextual insights for alerts. It allows alerts to be generated at mainframe speeds from any platform and submitted equally easily by RESTful API, OpsMVS scripts, mainframe batch jobs, and many other means. It's built with extensibility in mind. The alert schema supports custom alert properties to meet new use cases. It includes rules-based routing to direct alerts to specific groups, permission structures that ensure confidentiality whilst empowering different operations teams, and critically, a growing set of integrations across Broadcom tools that surface relevant information, helping drive down issue remediation time. Now, integrating Broadcom products around mainframe alerts is one of the ways in which we're answering the operator's question of which tool is right for this job. So, drilling down to a single alert, an operator can quickly identify a pattern of occurrence from the past on the same or different systems. Handovers and explanations are tracked in the alert audit log as well as commands and given context within alert notes. The ops log and the opalog integration display messages that were recorded around the time of the alert being triggered, providing yet more context. And quick ref integration is incredibly valuable at providing otherwise perhaps inexperienced operators with tomes of information at their fingertips. The efficiency gains are driven by automatic routing of alerts to groups, automatic ticket creation when defined criteria are met on a given alert, which means that an alert coming in becomes an issue going out. In the case of an integration with ServiceNow through an MSM, it includes a URL back to the alert. So whereas an operator may have their day in the alert table of Alert Central, an L2 operator might first encounter Alert Central by clicking on a link in a service desk ticket, being taken to the details of the alert and the details surrounding that alert, a snapshot of the commands that were executed at the time. So all of this provides more context to aid identification of the root cause. And automatic expiration of alerts, almost forgot. When configured, automatic expiration of alerts and deduplication of alerts on given criteria both serve to reduce the amount of work items that come into the queue for the operator. They're busy enough, they need all the help that they can get. So what's next? Well, currently building, but frankly, almost finished, contextual insights into alerts. So it's building on the related alert screen, and exactly as I was showing you, it helps operators and SMEs to distinguish patterns by matching related alerts. The contextual insights provide the additional data around the alert that introduces a problem-solving workflow from a different angle. It's the next level of in-depth troubleshooting and brought directly to the surface. Adding to that the capacity to issue commands. Hypothetically, you may find that you can diagnose the root cause of an issue and resolve it within the same web UI in a secure and timely manner, which is pretty spectacular. The mainframe SME experience provides a hard-learned run book of the commands to run and the results to look for when an alert occurs. It takes a long time for an operator to gain that knowledge and that skill set, particularly when diagnosing issues of different types. Contextual insights allows your SME to configure the alert profiles just once, and that defines the alert type, the commands to be run, and how the results and information is to be rendered on the screen, so that an operator immediately has access to those key metrics and that key information at the time of the alert. It's another example of how Alert Central and its integrations across your mainframe tools empower your operators in their daily work and guides them as they grow their understanding and capabilities. Matthias, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so the alert management journey, it is a process that we cannot just go alone. We need your partnership. So as we mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, when we are talking about alert management process, probably you already have some on your environment. Some customers, they will have a very sophisticated alert management process. Some others, they have opportunities for improvement. Some others, they're asking really for help to set up something new. So we want to partner with you. We want to make sure that if we are going the right direction with Alert Central, what else is missing? So we'll say, what do you want to see? So since we mentioned that it's not only about consolidating alerts, but about gathering data around and bringing them as contextual insights, what is the information that is important to you? So when you have your operators monitoring the environment, what is the information that matter to them? Or if you also want to use Alert Central with your level 2 team, with the SMEs, what information is important to them? So maybe you can gather basic information for operators to troubleshoot the problem, but you can get more complex data for the level 2 to use Alert Central as a way to do the initial troubleshooting or potentially solve the problem. So help us, tell us, what do you want to see? So what kind of data is important to you? And also, what do you want to do? Which other products are important? So is there any other kind of integration that you don't have that it's important to you? Any product or any process? Is there anything missing here that if we could get information from that place would be key for you to troubleshoot the problem quicker and resolve the problem even quicker? So that's the message that we want to pass today. As you can see, you have both of our contact information there. So Matt is in Prague, I'm in Brazil, so we cover a very large time zone. So if you want to get a session, get an in-depth conversation with us, we'll be glad to jump into the meeting with you and your team and talk about not only what we are doing now, doing the demo, but we have a very solid roadmap of other things that we want to accomplish with Alert Central, and we'd love to get your feedback around that. So with that, we are getting to the end of our session. So let's take a look into the chat and see if there are any questions before we go.
No questions so far, Matthias?
No?
We obviously did a good job.
All right.
Oh, sorry, Stefan has a question. Does Alert Central support integration, relaying its investigative work to Splunk? Did not see it on the list. That is a great question. Currently, it does not. Is it something we're looking at? Yes, it is. And what we're really interested in is what your use cases are around that. How do you use Splunk in your workflows? What are your business considerations? We understand that Splunk is incredibly powerful. We also understand it's a little bit expensive when you start putting a lot of data through there. So we have several ways forward around this and several solutions in mind. Stefan, if you'd be happy to talk to us further about this, we'd love to get your details.
He's able to unmute himself now. Everybody can unmute themselves
Wonderful.
now if they want to ask a question directly or just have a general chat with Matt and Matthias.
Thanks, Anna.
I see there is an additional question from Stefan as well about runbooks. How and where are they managed? So the runbooks from the conversations that we are having with customers, there are 3 different ways that they are located right now. So number 1, it is SharePoint. So we had a lot of customers that mentioned to us that they are keeping all their runbooks on the SharePoint. Some other customers that they have licensed to a very large ServiceNow suite. There is an option there called KB, ServiceNow knowledge base. So we are also looking into that. And some other customers is just keep their documentation to some share folders. So the runbook, it's one of the roadmap items that we have. So those are the 3 key areas that we are investigating right now on how we can bring the content of those runbook information into Alert Central as another insight, together with logs and insights and topology and all of that.
Yeah, that's very much about bringing the work, as Mateus says, in context. If today you have a specific runbook that you want to connect to, and some of our customers do, as part of the alert that you're shipping to us, you've got a couple of options. You can add short text as part of one of the descriptive fields, for example. We have people interested in doing that specifically from Netmaster. Equally, you can add a URL if you're able to provide that with an alert that would take someone outside of the Alert Central experience. But as Mateus says, we're talking about in context. So we're looking at bringing that in as much as possible through integrations.
Yep.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Great question.
Anyone else would like to unmute themselves and talk to the guys? If not, I just want to remind you, feedback. We want to make sure that what we put on in these conferences is what you want to see. So please give us the feedback so that we know. Otherwise, next time there may be nothing of any interest at all. So if you can do that, we appreciate it. And thanks to Matt and Mateus for this very informative session. And again, if you want to see them back again next year, feedback. Okay. So,
thanks, Alan. Hey, we're just going to share the QR code on screen. So
yep, sure. You
very
can
analog
use the
integration,
QR
but if you
code
want to
for
point
the
your phone
feedback.
at the screen
Yep.
in a moment.
I did put it into the chat. I can put it into the chat again.
Thanks
so that
very much.
you don't have to scroll back and forth. And also in your bring your own agenda, there is a link in each of the sessions to get to the appropriate feedback for that session. So no excuses. It's easy to find. Short questions, simple questions, just fill in the, 1 to 10, sorry, 1 to 9 to let us know what you thought.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yep,
Bye.
if there's nothing else, we can close the session.